shut the Atlantic Coast pipeline supposed to go from Harrison County to North Carolina. They shut that down, mainly because they're stepping in lawsuits for 8 years with the third line.
The property lawsuit?
No, not property lawsuits. They want to protest every time where they have to cross the street. So a judge ruled a couple of years ago that if you approve this project, then you don't have to get approval every time you cross the real street.
Yeah.
Which would make sense.
Yeah.
Sierra Club has fought against it for 8 years and trying to shut it down. EPA. Not just the EPA, well, they're petitioning the EPA. What they want to do is make sure that we don't have pipelines going anywhere. So,
Don't have pipelines anywhere.
they don't want the pipeline. They don't want a pipeline going from South Dakota to Gulf of Mexico. They want a pipeline going from Fairmont, Harrison County, to North Carolina.
Why not? From the creek?
Because they want us to all be on solar power and wind power, no coal, no fossil fuel.
That sounded like Hillary Clinton.
Exactly.
And Obama.
It's the same people. But they're not in office, but they do what they do, they file a lawsuit. If you go to the Army Corps of Engineers, the EPA, you spend 10 years getting all your stuff approved for a project.
Yeah.
Okay? Then they file a lawsuit. It takes you 6 months to get through that lawsuit to get it cleared, right? Plus a couple $1 million to get it cleared.
Yeah.
Then they file another lawsuit, and it takes you another year to get that one cleared. And it's the process of just filing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit.
Why turn around and just sue them? Why can't you sue them?
Well, you just can't. Because it's Sierra Club, they can do what they want, they burn everything down. They go outside, they go have a peaceful march somewhere, set stuff on fire. They did this in I think Arizona, like they do today. So they were protesting something, and they were protesting against like civilization, basically. So they had a campfire going, which got out having a start all the big wildfire, burning hundreds of acres.
And then they didn't do nothing for it.
And the government will do anything. Yeah.
The government is kind of stupid letting them do that.
Well, they know what they're doing. I mean, the lawsuit people, they have an idea exactly what they're doing. We'll kind of get into that with the message tonight. Okay, it's not the same thing. We'll kind of get into that with the message tonight. We're marching to Zion. What was that song? What's that song at? Jared, find We're Marching to Zion real quick. It starts with a W. We are marching. We're marching. Page 29. I think it's towards the front. Page 29, if you will. All right, everyone's playing the songbook. Let's all stand to sing. Page 29, we're marching to Zion. Here we go. Come we that love the Lord, and let our joys be known. Join in a song with sweet accord. Join in a song with sweet accord. And thus surround the throne, and thus surround the throne. We're marching to Zion. Beautiful, beautiful Zion, we're marching upward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. Here's the second verse. Look at this. This is the words of the second verse. This is the verse that I want to sing out loud to people all the time because they refuse to sing. Let those refuse to sing who never knew our God, but children of the heavenly King, but children of the heavenly King. May speak their joys abroad, may speak their joys abroad. We're marching to Zion, beautiful, beautiful Zion. We're marching upward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. Last verse. Then let our songs abound and every tear be dry. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground. We're marching through Emmanuel's ground to fairer worlds on high, to fairer worlds on high. We're marching to Zion, Beautiful, beautiful Zion, we're marching upward to Zion, the beautiful city of God. Thank you. Have a seat. There's certain songs I love. I love to sing songs like that all the time. These type of songs, because to me they're uplifting. We're marching to Zion. A lot of people look at the Christian life as if, okay, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Now that I'm saved, I got to live a goody two shoes life. I don't look at it that way. Neither do scriptures. It looks at it this way. It says, I'm going to a beautiful city, which is Zion, which we'll call it Zion. Well, I'm going to heaven. My heavenly Father knows the way. I'm like a little child holding on to my daddy's hand, walking along this journey, and he's taking me there, and it's a joyful journey all along the way. Well, John, I don't have the same joy you have. Well, you have the same God I have, or the same spirit inside you that I have. You can't have that joy. We're going to look at people tonight. We'll look at people tonight in a certain story. But before we do that, let's go to prayer. Anybody have a spoken prayer request?
Mr. Story, he had a colonoscopy Friday.
Okay.
And remember Kathy's mom, she wasn't going to see me for Kathy's.
Okay. Pray for Charlie Moss and for Aunt Jo, Kathy's mom. Anybody else? Luke and Katie had the baby. Well, actually, Katie had the baby, but Luke and Katie had a baby today. So we're rejoicing in that today. Okay. Anybody else with a spoken request? Praise report.
What, did the age in here?
15th, I think.
Oh,
Yeah. Early's better than late.
Always better.
I can't remember the number. 7 pounds, 11 ounces, something like that. And it's in healthy baby boy, which is good. All right. Anybody else with a spoken request? Anybody with an unspoken request, something you want to pray about? Not finish that loud. All right. Jerry, we lead us in prayer.
I would love you. Thank you, Lord, for the things you've given us. Lord, we find your word and your people in your house, Father, that we would bless tonight with the message, God, that we will be able to take and apply to our lives and be more like Christ. Be with this broken request that we're making. Lord, we love and not spoken request for every single need as you see fit. We love you.
Amen. Open your Bibles, please, the book of Esther. The book of Esther. Read just a few verses, but I want to go into the story, then I'll read verses in just a few minutes. But I want you to have your Bibles open to Esther chapter 2. We'll review just a little bit of Esther chapter 1 and go so you'll know where we are in the story, okay? But we're in Esther chapter 2. It's right before Job and Psalms and right before all that, and after the First and Second Chronicles in that direction, okay? You can find it? All right. Once you find it, look up this way. I'm going to review the story before we start reading, okay? Everyone's still looking. Alan's back there playing a computer game. He's not even looking. Okay. Hopefully Dave Castro's got this thing broadcast, because I love this story. Okay, if you've never read the book of Esther, we're going to study this book. We'll look at this, read this story for the next month or so. Because we're going chronologically through the scriptures, and at this time period, I'm going to review it as where Israel's at. Okay, once you find it, look up this way. I'm going to tell you the story part. Okay, Israel, living in the land of Israel, rebelled against God, and God said Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, to come and invade the land, took a bunch of people captive, and a lot of people were being taken from their land to another nation, which would be a terrible thing. God told the people that went there, the book of Jeremiah, he said, those of you that are taken captive, I've brought you there because your land's going to be purged back home. And while you were there in this land, I want you to sow your gardens. I want you to have children or grandchildren. I want you to sing songs. I want you to rejoice and be joyful while you're in this foreign land. Okay? One of the people that did that was a man named Mordecai. And Mordecai was he's not just in Babylon. He has now lived through the transition where Nebuchadnezzar was the king of Babylon, and then they were kind of defeated by the Medes and Persians. So the next world empire is taken over, and so this Mordecai is living in Shushan, the palace, and working there in Shushan, the palace, where the king Ahasuerus, which is the king of the Persians, where he lives. Last week we looked at the fact that this king Ahasuerus had a parade that lasted for about 6 months, and then a party that lasted for about a week, and he commanded his wife to come in and parade her around, and she wouldn't do it. So he kind of fired her as being queen. Okay, she never got to come in and see him again as being the queen. But the next day, he thought about the fact that he lost his wife. What we're going to do now? Okay, so this king, the king's name was Ahasuerus. He's king of the Persians. Okay, now we're in Esther chapter 2. We're going to start reading verse 1. Okay, chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti, that's his wife, and what she had done and what was decreed against her. That means she's banished from him, so his wife is gone, the queen's gone. Then said the king's servants that minister unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king, and let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of the kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto the Shushan the palace, to the house of the women, unto the custody of Haggai, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the woman, and let their things for purification be given them. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti, and the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Stop reading right there. Okay, look this way. Last week we talked about how big this kingdom was. Do you remember how far it was from east to west? Bonnie, you remember how far it was from east to west, how big this nation was? He reigned, this king reigns 127 provinces, 127 countries, everywhere from Ethiopia, which is North Africa, to India. Okay? He rules over all those countries. And so his wife is now gone, so they said, after he thinks about it a little bit, he said, I need of the 127 provinces, send us east to west, all over the nations, and us find the prettiest girls in town in all the countries to bring in, and you can choose your pick. You know, it's like having a Miss America pageant. Well, you get to whoever it is going to be the queen, but you get all these other ladies will be your wives as well. Okay, so it pleased the king. Sounds like a good idea. If he was the king, he said, "Yeah, I can have 127 wives, or how many, whatever that is, and just to choose what is the right queen." Okay. Now, we mentioned just a few minutes ago there was a guy named Mordecai. What's the king's name? Anybody remember the king's name? The king in verse chapter 1. We talked about it. Alan, what's the king's name? We just mentioned his name. Ahasuerus. Everybody say Ahasuerus. I know, Gesundheit. There you go. It's hard to remember. It's hard to remember. Well, it's the only person you're going to hear in your lifetime named Ahasuerus. Okay, so his servants go all the way from Ethiopia to India and all over these countries, all points in between. Bring the most beautiful ladies to him, and this is the plan. Okay, they stay in this house over here. They got to stay there. All these ladies, it's like a college dormitory type thing, and all these ladies that come in there, the ones that are prospects to be queens, they get to stay in there for about a year, 12 months. And they have other girls that are servants to them, okay? Like we will read about that, Esther in a few minutes. She is assigned 7 other young ladies that are her servants. They'll do anything she wants them to do. They'll get her anything she wants. They'll help her. I don't know what ladies would do all that time because they didn't have TV back then. I don't know what they did. So I have no idea. It's not like they had to go out and work the garden, cut grass, do anything like that. They would just be there. You know, there's probably people standing there with big palm leaves, fanning them, keeping them cold. They're cool in a hot day, whatever. And so these ladies, let's read it. Look at the verse 5. No, don't read that. Look at chapter 12. Verse 2. Chapter 2, verse 12. Now, whenever maid's turn was come to go into the king Ahasuerus, after she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of the purification accomplished, to wit 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with perfume her up real good, make her look real pretty, and other things for purifying of the woman. That thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given to her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned to the second house of the women, to the custody of Sheshgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. And she came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and she were called by name. Stop reading right there. So here's what the king did. Here's the king's plan. It wasn't even his plan. He didn't come up with this. But he's got all these ladies that were now concubines. They stay in this house over here. And I don't know how many, there's 127 of them. Doesn't give us a number, but there's a lot of them. And they all stay over there. They have one opportunity to come in to be with the king for the night. And he's going to choose a queen out of one of these ladies. And then they, after the fight with the king, they would go over and they would be in this other house over here, and they would never come back in to see the king again unless he called for them by name. Okay? Number 127, or whatever the number is. Okay? And if he called for them by name, they'd come back. Okay? So, in this story, there's people that were Jews that were taken out of Jerusalem, and they're serving there, and one of them's name was Mordecai. We'll read about verse 5. We'll read a couple of verses about Mordecai. Okay, look at verse 5. Now in Shushan, there was the palace. There was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai. He's a very godly man, great guy. The son of Jair, the son of Shimei, the son of Kish of Benjamite. So it tells him who he was. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity which had been carried away with Jeconiah, the king of Judah, whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, carried away. And he brought up Hadassah, that is, Esther. That's his uncle's daughter. So this is his first cousin. There's a little girl that lost her parents. It's his first cousin. And his uncle's daughter. Her mom and dad are gone. So Mordecai takes her in to take care of her himself. It's his little cousin. Okay. And he brought up Hadassah, that's her real name, but it referred to, that is Esther, his uncle Mordecai, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful. And Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took her for his own daughter. So he raised her up as a child. It came to pass when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together in Shushan the palace, the custody of Haggai, that Esther was brought also into the king's house, the custody of Haggai, keeper of the woman. And the maiden pleased him, that's Haggai, pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him. And he speedily gave her things for purification, such things belonged to her, and 7 maidens which were meet to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maidens into the best place for house of the women. Stop reading right there. I like this idea. So here comes Esther in, and this man he's kind of like a judge, like America's Got Talent or a Beauty Queen contest or whatever it is. And Esther comes in, there's something special about her. And he says, I'm going to give you the best place. And he assigns her 7 girls who will work with her. And you get anything you want over here for purification, for cleanliness, whatever it is you want. Ointments for oils or whatever you want to do. That's your place. You got the nicest place in the whole, you got to run the whole place. Okay? If we read on down through this, we'll find just a little bit about Mordecai. He's a godly Jew. God's not mentioned in this whole book, okay? But except during prayer time. It says Mordecai is a godly man. He raises up his niece. She's a very beautiful girl. She gets caught up in this beauty queen thing. It wasn't that the girls would try out for this. It's just someone from the king's group would come through and say, this one over there, you come with me, okay? And so Esther's there, but I want to look at Mordecai for just a minute. He's a very godly man. He looks at Esther. She's taken into this group. He says, don't tell anybody you're a Jew. Don't tell anybody our heritage. Just keep it this between me and you. We're Jews, okay? Don't tell anybody the heritage because there's people that hate Jews anyway. There's just like today's time. Today, there's people in these same nations. This happened in what is modern day Iran, I think. In these same nations, there's people that want to kill the Jews just like they did 2,500 years ago when this took place. So so Mordecai said, Esther, just do what I tell you. And she always obeyed Mordecai. Okay? Let me ask you a question. Yes. Is there anybody in your life that you would always obey no matter what they said to do? Is there somebody that either a parent that raised you or a family member or an older friend that no matter what they told you to do, you jump right in and do it? Anybody like that? You have somebody like that? Alan raises his hand. Anybody else have somebody that no matter who it was, any time in your life, you can always look at them and say, tell me what to do, and they tell you do the right thing. Okay? Preacher was that way to me. I have other people too from my childhood that I looked at and said, whatever he says to do. Jared met one of my cousins, Harvey, just a couple years older than me. But from the time we were kids, there's something about him. If he ever told me to do something or not to do something, I did exactly what he said to do. And I don't know why. I can't tell you. He never told me to do anything I could get in trouble for. He always told me the right thing to do. Y'all with me on that thing. He's always pointing me the right direction. So Esther has one person in their life, and that's Mordecai. Her cousins raised her. Okay, she gets caught into this thing. And all the girls, when they leave that house to come in to see the king at nighttime, it's their one shot to come in. They're probably dressed in the most beautiful gowns, evening gowns, or a wedding garment or something like that. They've probably got their hair fixed real nice and all dolled up in the very finest, the heavy jewelry that goes clunk when they set the hand down on something, the 30-pound ring they can't hardly lift the arm. Okay, so Esther's turn to come in, and then they said, I'm sure Haggai, the guard said, okay, Esther, tomorrow night's your night. You're going to see the king. Okay? She doesn't get dolled up. She doesn't put on fancy rings. She doesn't put on fancy clothing. She puts on the clothing that Haggai picks out for her, and she goes in as herself. Okay? Let's read a couple verses. Okay? Verse 15. Now, when the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abihail, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for a daughter, came unto the king, she required nothing, but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the woman, appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all them who looked upon her. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus unto the house royal in the 10th month, which is the month of Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. And so it's been 4 years since he started this project of finding a wife. This is 4 years. I don't know how many women have come in for the night with him, and he said, "No, she ain't the one. She ain't the one. She ain't the one." Okay. So it's been 4 years, and whatever the number she is. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. So that he set the royal crown upon her head and made her queen instead of Vashti. And the king made a great feast unto all the princes and the servants, even Esther's feast. And he made a release in the provinces that gave gifts according to the state of the king. Look at this quick. I want to look at a couple people just tonight for just a few minutes. I want to look at Ahasuerus. Okay, he's the king. Every decision he's made so far has been made by his counselors. They come in and tell him what to do. Okay, even when he got rid of his wife, they commanded her to come in. She didn't come in. His counselor said, "Oh, this is not good. All the other women in the country are going to find out that the king's wife disobeyed him, and still all the women are going to rebel against their husband." So he banished her forever. He did that because of the influence of his friends, right? Of his counselors. Well, he doesn't know what to do about a wife yet. Now it's taking 4 years to find one. But his counselors had to come to him and say, "Let's have women come in and you'll pick one out. Okay, you can't just go out and find one because everyone knows you're the king. We'll bring them into you and you pick out other ones we choose." Everything he's done so far is because other people kind of line it up for him, tee up the ball for him, let him hit it. Okay. There's somebody else we want to look at. That's Ahasuerus. And up till now, I don't think his decisions are really good, but up till now, his decisions are basically made by everybody else until this decision. Okay. And from now on, he's going to be influenced by Esther more than anybody else. There's other people who have influence, sway on him for a while, but he's going to be influenced by Esther and by Mordecai. We'll find out as the story proceeds. I'll look at Mordecai for just a minute because he's a very godly man. He works in the Shushan palace, and nobody knows he's a Jew. Well, people find out he's a Jew, but he's not there just because I'm labeled a Jew. I'm here because of the work that I do. It's like in America today, there are people that we'll call hyphenated Americans. I'm a blank American, fill in the blank. They're not Americans, they're gay Americans. That means it's more important that they're gay than they are American. Or they're white Americans. It's more important that they're white than they are Americans. Or they're black or African Americans. To them, it's more important that they're African Americans. It's not the fact that they're Americans. Mordecai says, "I'm a servant of the king in Shushan the palace. I'm not a Jewish servant. I am a servant. I serve God," and he does. He has a tremendous relationship with God, gets his prayers answered. But so this Mordecai he's got his whole life built on this relationship is right with God, so this relationship with man is right. And so he takes care of his niece, he raises her up his own daughter, and everything kind of goes with this flow. Then we read about Esther, okay? And all we know about Esther is she's very beautiful, right? From what we've read so far. What we're also going to find out about Esther is that she always obeys Mordecai. Whatever he tells her to do, she does exactly what he says, okay? Everybody ought to have that person in their life. Everybody ought to have at least one of those people in your life. More so when you're younger than when you're older, but even as you're older, you ought to have a cabinet of counselors and people you can say, okay, you tell me, guide me, help me make these decisions. Okay? Okay. What else we know about Esther? She doesn't need jewelry. She doesn't need a fancy gown. When she walks in, the king says, wow. When she walked into Hege, when she was brought in, doesn't say by choice. When she was brought in to live in that house with all these other women, that dormitory type place, when she was brought in for the first time, the man that was over over all those other ladies looked at her and said, wow, something special about her. You got the best place. I give you these 7 girls going to serve you, and you'll have a great time. Whatever you need, just ask for it. You got it. Okay? Why? Was it because of her beauty? I don't think the Bible says she's good looking, but I don't think it's because of her beauty. There's something that shines from the inside out. Okay? That's, you read through the book of Proverbs. Proverbs chapter 21 talks about a virtue. Proverbs 31 talks about a virtuous woman. And there's people that I know, and you know, that it doesn't matter so much what the outside looks like, but if something on the inside just glows about them, they got something going. Okay? Ladies that have this. Okay, now, Esther's one of these people. In the process of this, look at the last couple verses of chapter 2. Look at verse 21. In those days, because now Esther's become queen, they have a feast for her. They're going to have like a picnic every year in her honor or whatever. Okay. Verse 21. In those days, when Mordecai sat in the king's gate, 2 of the king's chamberlains, that means they worked close to him, Bigthan and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth, and sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus. And the thing was known unto Mordecai, who told it to Esther the queen, and Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name. And when inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree, and it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king. Look up this way. I like this idea. Mordecai works there. Okay, it's a huge palace. I don't know how many thousands of people work there, but Mordecai hears a little talk that these 2 guys they're the king's chamberlain. They work closely with the king, like bodyguards. They get mad at the king for some reason. They decide they're going to kill the king. They let the word out. They whisper about the thing. Okay? Mordecai finds out about it. He sends to Esther, tells Esther, Bigthan and Teresh, the king's chamberlains are going to try to kill him. Okay? So she writes a note, passes on to the Secret Service there within the palace, and the king doesn't even know about it. And the inquisition is made, little research is done. Yep, Bigthan and Teresh, they were hiding knives in the king's bedroom. They were killing one night, and so they Secret Service guy takes Bigthan and Teresh out, and they hang him on a tree outside. The king doesn't even know that it's happened. But Mordecai's just saved his life. Okay. In this, we're going to read about some other people like Haman, different people in this story. I love reading the story. And if you have never read the book of Esther, I want you to, if you can, read the first 3 chapters by next Wednesday night, just to go over the stories that be fresh in your mind. But when I read through these stories, I see people. And when I read through the Gospels, and I read about Jesus and his apostles, I read about Peter, James, and John, or Andrew, different people. And when I read about them, I see different people in these stories. I don't know if you do this or not. When you read about David and Goliath, you picture a little kid. Does anybody here picture do you picture David like you can see the story in your mind? That David's killing Goliath with a slingshot. Can you picture that? Can you picture that story not like a movie? Okay, but then if you picture that story, can you then transfer who David is to somebody you know? Or can you transfer Goliath to who he is to somebody you know? When you read about Noah, by faith, taking 120 years to build an ark, and his sons, and everyone's laughing at him because they're building this ark out there's no water. They're building this big boat for 120 years, and people are laughing at them. Can you picture somebody that has that faith that they're going to spend 120 years doing exactly what God told them to do, even if no one believes what they said? Okay? I see these people, I picture these people that have that kind of a faith. When I read about Esther, a Mordecai and a Ahasuerus. I see people in leadership like Ahasuerus that have no clue what they're doing. They just got there. Okay? And, I mean, it's great. God appointed them king, made them king, but every decision they made, someone's got to tell them what to do. Okay? I'm not saying politically right now because I could get in trouble about elections coming up and stuff, but there's people that had that position. Well, I've seen people in business that have that position and they don't know what to do, but they got good people around them that helps them do really well. Okay? I've seen people like Mordecai. I love these people, reading about these people in Scripture. There are people like Mordecai that most of their life, nobody knows who they are. They're just doing what they're supposed to do all the time. They're always in their place. They're always serving what they're supposed to serve. They're faithful to their job. They're faithful to their family. They always do everything they're supposed to be doing. Mordecai was that person. He took his niece in, didn't have to. I don't know, it doesn't mention that he had other kids. He took his niece in and raised her as if it was his own daughter. And he's always in his place doing the things he's supposed to do. PR and I had a talk a while back, a couple months ago, about people within our church. And we started mentioning people. And our conclusions are the greatest people that we know in our lifetime were some of the people sitting in this church building. And you never know who they are. They're just Mordecais. They just show up and do their job, and if something bad happens, they try to prevent bad things from happening, like Mordecai saved the king's life. And most people never know what they do. They just show up and do what they're supposed to do. Okay? I love it. I love the idea of being around those people. And there's Esthers all around us. Most people never notice who they are. Okay? If you go out here and look on this wall, one of our church families of people that passed away, Sheila was an Esther. Corky was an Esther. Okay? What do you say about it, John? They had something about them that was just special. Servants doing what they're supposed to do all the time. The men that are on this wall, and the men in this room right now, are the Mordecais that do what they're supposed to do, always where they're supposed to be. And every once in a while, they don't know it, but they just save the king's life. They may have done something, said something, just saved somebody's life. I like one of my favorite characters is a man, just a couple lines written about him, Ittai the Gittite. That means at one time he's a soldier, and at another point in his life, he's just a palace guard. But when it's time to be a soldier, he can be a soldier. And then when it's time to come back in for those kids. Okay. To me, all these characters, Esther, Mordecai, we'll read about Haman next week, Ahasuerus, are all familiar stories to me because I see them in other people. Hopefully, you read your Bible enough and you read the principles of Scriptures, and then you see that the principles of Scriptures acted out in people's lives in the stories that God gives us, and then you see that those same principles applied in our lives, how God blesses these people. Okay, it's Mordecai. I don't know what he does. He sits in the king's gate. I don't know what he does in the king's gate, but he has a job around there doing something. And he saves the king's life, and nobody knows he did it other than Esther, and she has it certified in Mordecai's name that he saved the king's life, and nobody else really cares about it. A couple Secret Service guys know about it, and it's in a history book somewhere written down, and nobody reads the history book except for Charlie Moss, right? That's why we have riots in the streets today, because nobody reads your history books anymore, except for Charlie and history teachers. Okay. But I love the idea that these people are always blessed by God, found doing what they're supposed to be doing. You can see it in other people's lives if you choose to. Next week, we'll read a little bit about Haman. Haman is blessed beyond measure with a promotion at work. But he can't be happy because of one thing. No matter how much money he has, riches he has, fame he has, whatever it is, there's one thing that gets under his skin, and he's not a good man, he's not a godly man, he hates the Jews, he'll prove it. He hates God's people, he proves it. But there's something, he allows all his good things in life, mean nothing if one thing goes bad. Okay? I had a conversation with somebody one day that had 3 tremendous years of great life. And they had one day when things went bad. And they said, "Wished I'd never made that change 3 years ago." And I said, "You mean you trade in the last 1,000 days of tremendous days because one day went bad?" And they wouldn't respond to me. Okay? Okay. Hopefully we can read the scriptures and see people, and see the people, see these truths in people that are around us. Let's pray. Thank you, Lord, for loving us. I pray that you help us be the Christian we want to be in all our lives, Lord. We want to see truth in action. We want other people to see truth in us. I pray that you'll use us for your glory. Use us, our church families, we go out this week to be an encouragement to other people and a witness to the lost. Thank you for gathering us together, and thank you for the time we have together around your word. Use us and give us discernment in how we look at people, not to judge people, but to see truth in their life and truth applied to our life. And help us to apply these truths to our lives to be the witness we ought to be, the light in our community. In Jesus' name we ask. Amen. Thank you. You're dismissed. Thanks for coming out tonight. Anybody have any questions about these people before we dismiss? We're dismissed. But anybody have questions? Publicly ask a question. Okay. You think of a question, you read the first 3 chapters of Esther next week and come back and tell me you got questions. Okay? Thank you very much.